Well, good Tuesday evening, everyone, and welcome to Bowling with the Fef, a platform for you to share your unique bowling story, all live on our YouTube channel. It has been just a thrill to get to know bowlers, reconnect with some that I haven't seen in a long time, learn bowling stories, all kinds of stuff. It's been just awesome. This is a labor of love. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and it's just really been fun to do. We've got 42 episodes now stacked up on the YouTube channel. I hope you'll take the time to check out some of our past guests. The stories have been amazing, and just really glad to see interest kind of slowly climbing in this thing and having people interested in taking part, especially now that we're in a new bowling season. A lot of people are in leagues again and tournaments starting up. I did want to give a quick shout out to Brent Prentice and Cedar Vale Lanes. They held an MJBT reunion tournament over the weekend. This is a little picture we took from there. I took part. Didn't do so hot. My spare game could use a lot of work, but it was a fun event. Lots of great times for those of us who bowled MJBT in Minnesota, MJBA, the JCBA. They had a pretty decent turnout despite some no-shows, and just a lot of fun and a great venue, Cedar Vale Lanes. So happy to take part. Hopefully it'll happen again, and hopefully I can make a little better showing next time. When you're competitive, it's great to come out there and give it a big swing, not be in a slump as I kind of find myself in right now. But regardless, let's talk about our guest tonight. I'm really excited about this one, mostly because he kind of came to me. He requested friendship on Facebook. Came at me that way. When I accepted, he talked about the show and said he was interested in coming on. And that's why we have Jerry Mars on tonight from Lake in the Hills, Illinois, which is from Chicago. Jerry, welcome to Bowling with the Fef. Did I turn your microphone on? No, I didn't. Let's try that. Oh. Now I can hear you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have you here. Like I said, you're from Lake in the Hills near Chicago, and you have an athlete page where you go by Jerry Money Mars. How did you get the Money nickname? Is that something that just worked, or is there a story behind that?
Actually, I'm going to be honest. I have no idea. It was given to me by the people at Deviate. I went and did a ball video for two bowling balls, the Ruckus Schizo and the Rude Dude, and we went to Muskegon for that, and they couldn't come up with a nickname, and then we showed up, and that's what they said.
Okay,
so we just went with it.
I gotta say, it flows off the tongue really nicely.
Yeah, it does. I try and tell some people that it comes from back in earlier years of bowling. I'd throw the ball and I'd get a strike, and some people would say I'd go, "Oh, that's money," and then it would strike. And we don't know if it's actually that where it came from, but when I went and did the ball videos, that's basically what they did. They didn't actually tell me until the videos were released. And when videos came out, and that's what it was.
Yeah. Well, looks like it stuck, and glad it did. So I was talking about this tournament that I was bowling in, and how I kind of find myself in a little slump. And I think part of that is, not having bowled during COVID. It takes a while to get back into it. If you're not on the lanes enough, if you're not practicing your craft. Let me ask you this. When you're in a slump, and I'm not accusing you of being in a slump, but I'm saying everybody kind of gets, highs and lows now and then. What do you do to get out of it?
I actually was in a slump probably about 2.5, 3 years ago. I didn't cash in many tournaments. It was just bowling absolutely horribly. Nothing just seemed to go right for me. I'd miss cash cuts by like a pin or two. But I just basically took time for myself, sat back, focused. I went and got coaching. I went to Reno 1 year, and I saw Mike Jasnow. And he worked with me, and within 5 minutes literally had me fixed. And ever since I've seen him, he's given me the video as to everything that he's told me to do. And just basically whenever I get in a slump, I go back to that video. but a lot of people, when you go into a slump, you just need that mental reset. You know, there's a lot of bowlers out there that will get into a point where they feel like they're not good enough, and they down talk themselves, and I've seen it, I've done it, I'm guilty of it 100%. It's just a mental thing. A lot of times you're throwing the ball good. It just depends on which house you're bowling at. Carry could be good, carry could be bad.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm totally guilty of the self-doubt thing, and that could be a part of my problem. So yeah, it's time to get back to basics, get back to fundamentals, and try and work our way out of this. Now, the good thing about slumping at a tournament, not having to bowl match play, is that I got back here for the Packers game. The bad part is, 3 hours later, I felt even worse than I did when I got home. But I noticed on Facebook that you gave it one of these and had the score. Are you a Saints guy? Are you just a whoever's playing the Packers guy? Help me out here.
No, I actually started cheering for the Saints back when they had the hurricane come through and it destroyed the stadium. And knowing what the owner did for the city of New Orleans and what he did for the people, basically giving up that stadium, letting people go in there, and they basically destroyed it. But he did that out of the kindness of his heart. And to me, that stood out. So I started cheering for the Saints. I do cheer for the Bears. My cousin is a huge Packers fan, so we give her all kinds of crap for it. But I've been a Saints fan probably a good 8, 9, 10 years. But I'm not really vocal on Facebook about it because of the fact that people call you fair weather fans whenever you're not vocal about it before. So just like with my Cubs and Sox, I cheer for both teams. But when the Cubs play the Sox, I cheer for the Sox. As I've got my Sox jersey on.
Good deal. Yeah, I definitely prefer that over the other, but I'm a Milwaukee native. What can I say? So I noticed your hometown is in the same vicinity as UW Whitewater men's head coach Sean Walkner, who's been on the show a couple times. And when I asked him about you, he said, quote, "There are people who are just good bowlers, and then there are those people who are just good for the sport. Jerry is one of the few people who fits both of those descriptions." And we're going to get into detail on both of those things, but how does it feel to be described like that?
Feels good. Bowling has been my life basically since I was born. My grandmother managed a bowling center, and I didn't really go to daycare. They just put me in the bowling center that they worked at. And it was a bowling center, restaurant, banquet hall, bar. It was called Massey's Lanes in West Dundee. And they picked me up from school, put me in a bowling center, and I'd bowl. And I just want to see the sport grow. I want to see people actually out there doing it and enjoying themselves and having fun doing it. People say, "Oh, well, I suck at bowling. It's just not fun." No, it is. You go out and you bowl and your friends throw a gutter ball. What are you doing? You're laughing at it. You're having fun. I go out and throw a gutter ball in competition. Nobody's laughing. So
sure. Yeah.
It's the same thing I tell my wife. She's not a bowler, but she'll go out and, if we want to go out and have fun, we go out and have fun. And it's not something that I go out and be like, "Oh, I got to be competitive and I got to go do my best." I just go out and bowl. Just have fun.
Yeah.
So that's what I like to see people do, is just have fun.
Sure. Growing up in the sport in that environment, would you say it's something that either was expected of you or you expected of yourself, that you were going to, keep practicing, keep working at this until you were competitive? Or was it something else? Was it something that you kind of had to do some soul searching and figure out on your own?
My parents were actually bowlers. They bowled just basically leagues. My mom was actually a pretty decent bowler. A background of my family, my grandmother helped coach Lori Nichols, who's a PWBA Hall of Famer, and USBC or ABC, WIBA Hall of Famer. She also helped me. She owned one of the bowling out by us, and she helped me a little bit when I was a kid, and tried getting me to be better. But I've always wanted to be a professional bowler. I always wanted to do it for a living. I wanted to be that person that traveled around the country and did it. I can't travel around the country because of work, but I do go around the Midwest and try to go where I can. I've bowled the World Series of Bowling, excuse me, and I've bowled the Masters. I've bowled the U.S. Open. Didn't do too good in the U.S. Open, but I bowled it. Been there.
Yeah.
Um, but I've always wanted to be a professional bowler. That was my number one goal in life.
Sure. Tell me about how Lori was as a coach back then. I mean, was she difficult to work with or please, or was she accepting of the fact that, hey, you're a young guy in the sport trying to make his way, and was a little less heavy-handed, we'll say.
She was helpful. I was a kid. I was 8, 9 years old. So I mean, she would just tell me all the little basic things. I was starstruck when my grandmother first told me about her, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's just women's professional bowler." And throughout my life, she's been there. She just recently moved to Florida. I used to bowl league with her. My family grew up with her, and she was always very helpful. You wanted to go bowl, she would let us bowl, and she was always there for basically whoever wanted to bowl.
Yeah. Did you said your parents were bowlers? Did they get into, I guess, coaching you as you were developing in the sport?
They did. They were coaches for the Saturday morning junior leagues that we were in. And then my mom started working for when Massey's closed. My grandmother started working for the bowling center that Lori owned. It had multiple owners, and my grandmother ran the junior program there, which had, I was probably say, it was probably one of the biggest junior programs that was around. She had a full squad at the 9 a.m. squad, and then out of a 36 lane center at the time, she had 24 to 28 teams for the afternoon squad. And everybody looked at her as grandma. They didn't look at her as Coach Estelle. So it was my grandmother was basically my coach for a long time. When she passed away in 2005, I got lost, didn't know what to do, didn't know who to turn to. I went to Bill Spigner. I got help from him, and he helped me a little bit. And I haven't really had much coaching, but the coaching that I have gone to the people who know exactly what to do and pinpoint things.
Sure. You mentioned how big that junior program was. Tell me about what it was like competitively speaking. Were there a lot of good young bowlers there?
There was a lot of good bowlers. We had a travel league that used to travel all over Northern Illinois. We used to go to, I think it was like 10 or 12 different centers throughout the year. And we had some good bowlers on our team that would go through there. It was called the Elgin Junior Travel League. It basically, lets you highlight the kids that were, top bowlers in the area. And to this day, I still bowl against some of those bowlers I bowled against in the junior leagues and some of the local tournaments that we bowl. Not so much like on the national scene when I do go out and national tour, but there are a few that I've seen when I was younger.
Sure. Tell me about tournament bowling for you in those days. I mean, when did you start up in tournaments? And what kind of showed you that this is something that not only was something you wanted to do, but was something that you could, compete with folks in?
I actually didn't bowl many tournaments when I was in juniors. I bowled the Pepsi State, or Coca-Cola State as it was called when I was in juniors. We had the state tournament, but I didn't do much traveling. Didn't really know about, all the youth tournaments that there were. And being honest, I didn't really know about college bowling growing up. I hear like most of the people that are my age nowadays, oh, we bowled in college. I didn't really have a want to go to college. I graduated high school and basically just went right to work. My dad actually, when they were raising me, basically told me, you have 3 things in your life going for you: your honesty, your integrity, and your willingness to work. And I work hard every day. I go to work. I bust my butt. I do everything I can, do as much as I can, and then I go home. Go back the next day, and it's repeat steps. And I've done that ever since 14. So it's just who I am.
And man, if you've got those things that your father laid out, you're doing all right in this world, let me tell you.
Yeah. He was always there to guide me in the right direction, and he was basically like my best friend growing up. If I had issues or needed help with something, he was there to help me with. He helped coach when I played football, baseball, bowling. He was there to coach and help out.
Sure. So you mentioned your grandmother's center. You mentioned Lori's center. Tell me about, maybe a center or two that's no longer operating, maybe not even standing anymore.
Mhm.
And let's go to a hypothetical situation where you could wave a magic wand and bring it back. Which one would
That
it
would
be and why?
that would be Brunswick Zone Algonquin on Route 62. It would be the center that I managed for 9+ years. I didn't manage it. I was the operations manager. We had a lot of managers go in and out. Brunswick built a Brunswick Zone XL up on Randall Road, which wasn't too far from where we were. And they basically closed down my center to keep that center going. But I would open that up if I could, if I had the money and had the resources to do it. I would. The people that I had working for me were unbelievable. They were people that wanted to be there, people that wanted to work, people that wanted to enjoy their time there. I wasn't the type of manager to where I got on everybody's case because everybody did their job. I was that type of person to where I didn't have a problem if my employees were down bowling with their friends, throwing a shot here or there while they were open bowling. If I saw beer bottles sitting on the tables empty, I'd get upset. If I saw garbage cans, but a lot of times I didn't have to worry about that because I'd walk around the bowling center and everything would be cleaned up. Everything, people would come off the lanes and somebody would be down there cleaning it up, getting it ready. And, so as far as a center that is dear to my heart, that would be it, because that's the center that my grandmother worked at, and she worked there till she had passed away in 2005. So
Yeah.
it's one that I drive by every day. And I send Snapchats to my friends and everybody that used to work there with us. And I say, God, if I had the money, and they all reply, we wish. But yeah, it's one of those centers that I look at it every day and wish I can go in there and see what, it looks like in the inside. But
Yeah. So you make your way into adult competition. Tell me what you remember from those first days of maybe, starting your first adult league or bowling a tournament as an adult.
well, my first game in an adult league, I bowled at Woodfield Lanes in Woodfield, Illinois, or Schaumburg, Streamwood. Not exactly sure where they would consider it, but it was Woodfield Lanes. It was over by Woodfield Mall. My very first game in a men's league was a 300.
Oh, wow.
And I went Brooklyn on the last shot to get it. I was so nervous because it was my actual first 300. And my next two games, I went 129, 118. I was so excited that I shot 300 that I was trying to call my mom, was trying to call, everybody that I knew, hey, I shot 300 and wasn't paying attention to bowling, just didn't want to bowl. But yeah, I shot like 129, 118 the next two games. And then the fourth game, I shot like 230.
Okay.
But it was an exciting time for that. I joined the Amateur Bowlers Tour that was in Chicagoland area. I bowled that for, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 years. Got my feet wet in that. I didn't do too bad. And I went and bowled in a PBA regional in Lombard, Illinois. And I bowled with Bob Learn Jr., Steve Jaros, and I forgot who the other person was. There was 4 of us on the pair. But it was my very first PBA regional, and I missed match play. I think it was like by 5 pins, but I cashed. And at that time, that's when the PBA regionals in the Midwest had like 120, 130 entries, and they had to have 2 split squads just to do them. But at that point, that's when I knew. When they went to go hand me my first PBA check, I was like, sign me up for membership. I want it.
Wow.
And I haven't turned back since. So
Yeah. Who are some of the, maybe the competitors that you bowled against that either you looked up to or maybe struck up friendships with, once you were at that level?
At that level, like going up in junior leagues, I don't want to say my biggest rival was Jake Woltman. The kid was phenomenal left-hander bowler, as a junior bowler. And every time I went out, always wanted to bowl against him. Always wanted to be that person, just be like, okay, I did good. If I didn't, I didn't. But you got guys like, Rick Hara, Chicagoland area bowler. I mean, guy's a phenomenal bowler. Even, at the senior level, he's pretty good. I looked up to like a lot of guys. Bob Learn Jr. is basically one of the guys that kind of convinced. I don't want to say convinced me, but he was like, if this is something that you want to do, you need to do it while you're young. You need to do it while you have a chance, while you have time to go out. Do it when you're single, so that way you can establish yourself. And I tried that, and it was just one of those things where it was like I just wanted to work. I just wanted to make money, and that's basically how it all happened. But like the people that I look up to is like Parker Bone, Jaros, Bob Learn, Walter Ray, guys that I'm actually teammates with now. That's on staff with DV8 in Brunswick, and those are mostly the guys that I looked up to. Mike Albee was another guy that I looked up to.
Yeah. So you always remember that first event, but what happened after that? How did you end up doing in regionals that, like you said, sign me up for the next one, and I'm assuming you bowled the next and the next.
That year I cashed in the first 4 events. My 4th event I bowled, forgot what center it was, but it was called Lancer Lanes, and it was in Iowa. I forgot what town it was in. I actually led that one going into the last game. Then I shot 170 to lose the lead, but I still made it to Sunday. But I really enjoyed my first year out on the regional tour because a lot of the guys made me feel like I was welcome. They made me feel like I belonged there. And it was just one of those things where it was like the more and more I bowled, the more and more I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. I don't care if it's just on the weekends or if it's as a living. This is what I want to do.
Sure.
And I want to say after the first 4 events, I think there was like 4 or 5 events where I didn't cash. And like I said, I'm guilty of self-doubt, thinking that, I was 21, 22 years old at the time. Thought to myself, I cashed in the first 4 events. Why am I not cashing now? And, at that time, I didn't know about bowling balls and drillings and stuff like that. So it was basically just whatever ball I felt like throwing, I'd pick out of my bag and go. And, I got lucky for 4 tournaments, and then there was 4 or 5 tournaments that kicked me back to reality. And I took some time to actually go out and learn.
Yeah. How did you learn? Who taught you?
There's a lot of people that have taught me. There's Joe and Rich from Bowlers Connection in Roselle. They were drilling my stuff for many years. COVID hit, and it kind of got hard to get into the center because Bolero owns the center that they're in. So I couldn't really get there. A friend of mine, Eric Pollock, opened up a pro shop at Liberty Lanes where we bowled league. And he's basically taught me about drillings. He's taught me how to drill my own stuff. So now I don't depend on somebody else to drill my stuff. If I get a new ball, I just take it right to the shop and throw it on the press and map it out and go. Chuck is another one that has taught me a lot. Chuck has taught me basically which balls you can throw and can't throw, which ones you should and should not. There's some patterns like, if I go on a short pattern, I'm not a fan of urethane. Okay. I'm a fan of urethane on short patterns. I'm not a fan of something like this weekend. We're bowling in Waterloo. It's going to be a 42-foot pattern with, I believe, 31 mils. Somebody's going to try and throw urethane. To me, it's not needed, But there's going to be those that can make it look good, and they will. I won't, because I just can't. I can't get it to hook. I've tried 5 different bowling balls. I've got a purple hammer now that Brunswick just released it, and I'm starting to learn that. I actually bowled a tournament down in Kentucky a couple weeks ago where I threw it on a short pattern all 5 games, and I actually did pretty good with it. I surprised myself. Could have been better, but I'm still learning. I'm always going to learn something in this game. But Chuck was somebody who helped me learn about bowling balls, differences, when you should use them, when you shouldn't. Trying to think of who else in the area. There's a guy, James Santilli, who he also helped me. He tried getting me into drilling stuff and learning. And I was always stubborn. I was always afraid to do it. And Eric kind of just was like, you're on your own. You're doing it. I'm not doing it for you. And I learned. And it's actually pretty simple. You just need to learn what numbers are for and what they are, what's going to make the ball do. So
sure. I'll preface this by saying, I looked up some video of you bowling. You sent me a video of you bowling. When I see your game, I see a lot of Steve Hoskins in it, who he was a guy who threw a televised 300 on in the PBA Tour in 1997. Do you see that in yourself, or is there somebody else that maybe you pattern your game after?
I see it, as Steve Hoskins. He's another one that, I always watch bowling. I've always thought, like my style was now more like Mike Albee. If you were talking when I was younger, I would say it was more like Ricky Ward, or Ricky Ward used to have like the real high arm swing, and then he would just rip right through it. And that's how I used to be. I got with a coach out here. It wasn't really a coach. He was a mechanic at the bowling center. And he was like, there's no reason why you need to have your arm swing up there. He goes, you're going to lose control. You're going to throw the ball all over the place. So he got me to lower the arm swing and be more with my timing. And everything just clicked and everything started going. So I would say right now my game would kind of be something like what Mike Albee would be.
Yeah. Have you been able to meet Mike in the past?
I have not.
No?
I've always wanted to. I've been down to Indianapolis quite a few times. But he's one person that I would absolutely love to meet.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that. Along with your successes, we can't really tell this story without, mentioning the obstacles that you've had to face. Starting, really let's start in 2012 when you had, the first of your 2 heart attacks in 6 years. You told me in messages that you should have died from that. I mean, what happened, and how did you, not only recover but get back on the lanes after that?
I was at a Chicago White Sox game with my girlfriend at the time and a bunch of friends, and we were having a good time. There was actually a fan that was in the stands that was cheering for the Mariners, and he basically was getting in everybody's face, pointing their fingers. He was a little inebriated.
Yeah.
And I got heated as well. And driving home, I was fine. Got in the house, felt fine. And all of a sudden, it was like I started getting the numbness on the tongue and cold sweats. I literally was sitting there talking to friends and dripping sweat. And they're like, "Why are you sweating? It's cold in this house." And I'm like, "I don't know." I said, "I'm just sweating." So I went downstairs, and my girlfriend came down, and she said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "I think so." I said, "I just feel like I'm going to throw up." And she goes, "Well, why don't you?" All right. So I went in the bathroom and did just that, and went and changed my shirt. And within 5 minutes, I sweated through a whole shirt, literally soaked the shirt. And she looked at me and she said, "Are you okay?" She goes, you do not look good right now." She goes, "You're a little green in the face." And I says, "No." I said, "I don't feel good." And I says, "I'm just going to lay down, sleep it off. I'm going to go to bed." So I laid down, and when your body gets to that point when you're falling asleep, you feel it just let go. And I felt that point coming. And I woke up and I was like, I can't do this. I need to go upstairs. I have friends over. I can't just leave my friends upstairs and not hang out with them. And I started walking upstairs, and my girlfriend looked at me and she goes, "Are you having a heart attack?" And I said, "No." I said, "I don't think it's a heart attack. I don't have the, numbness in the arms or whatnot." And as soon as I said that, sharp shooting pains went through my chest, numbness through my left arm, and my tongue went numb. And I looked at her and I said, "Call 911." So they called 911. I walked out to the paramedics, and the police officer that came to the door, he said, "Well, where's the heart patient?" And I said, "Right here." And he goes, You're not supposed to walk to the paramedics." He goes, "We're supposed to carry you out." And I says, "No." I says, "I needed to walk because if I walk, the pain isn't there." Got to the hospital, and they went in, rushed me in. They did the angiogram. And when they came back, the doctor looked at me and he goes, "You need to count your blessings." He goes, "Because if you would have fell asleep within 5 minutes, you would have been dead." He said, "You had the widowmaker." And I said, "What exactly is the widowmaker?" And he said, "You had 100% blockage in your main artery that goes to the heart. And it's where, I think it's where the artery splits." And it hit home. It kind of like knocked me back and was like, whoa. He said, even though it was 100% blockage, they were still able to get the stent in and blow it up and do that instead of doing bypass surgery. That they told me it was going to take about 2 months to 3 months for me to get back out bowling because of basically the groin. They go in through your groin. They cut one of the arteries that's in your groin. So you have to let that heal 100% before they can do anything.
Sure.
But I got back out on the lanes, and I told myself, if now is not the time to do it, it's never going to be. And from that point on, I just went all the way to the wall and started bowling a lot more.
Was it tough to get back into it from that point, or did you find it to be relatively easy to kind of continue from where you left off?
It was hard to get back into it because I didn't have the strength.
Okay.
When the doctors tell you that they go in through your artery in your groin and you need to let that heal 100% before you do anything, you're always afraid of doing something and it popping open.
Sure.
And the reason why I say that is because my mother and my father both have had heart attacks. And when my dad had his heart attack, he was at home resting on the chair and he sneezed and he ripped his open.
Oh.
We had to rush him back to the hospital, because if you don't get that repaired, you can bleed out. So it's very important that healed. So I was always afraid. It literally took me, I would say, 3 to 4 months extra to get back out in tournaments, not league, but mostly tournaments because of the confidence. League, you're bowling 3 games. As to where tournaments, we were bowling anywhere from 6 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to tell yourself, okay, can I bowl 6 games versus just the 3 and be okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I want to say it was like 2.5, 3 years later, I got diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic.
Okay.
So when that happened, it was pretty much, they were telling me it has to be a lifestyle change. Basic history of myself, I used to weigh 370 pounds. And that was because working at Brunswick, I was there all day, every day, 7 days a week, So it was like I'd go on my way, I'd stop at McDonald's to get breakfast, or I'd get lunch, I'd come home, get my daughter, drop her off at her mother's house, drive back to work, get McDonald's. Get off of work, drive home, get McDonald's. So it was McDonald's 3 times a day. And it caught up to me. And that's pretty much why I had the heart attack and I had the diabetes. And then there was just one day where my daughter was like, I want to go to the park. And I said, no, I didn't want to go. And she cried literally for an hour. And at that point I was like, nope, I need to do something. I can't do this. So I went and signed up for Lifetime Fitness, took her with me. And from there I lost 100 and I want to say at that time it was like 110 pounds.
Wow.
And I got myself in better shape. And now to this day, I'm about 150 pounds less than what I was.
Wow.
140 pounds.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah. I mean, everybody will probably ask you, what did you do? What did you do? But I guess my question is, what was it like up here, mentally? How did you keep it going?
It's to this day, it's still rough. If I'm home alone, I can't sleep. Knowing that a doctor told me that I should have passed away when I was sleeping, I can't sleep. My sleep pattern, I work 3rd shift. I get off at 7:45, 8 o'clock. I get home about 8:30. I sleep till about 12, and I don't go back to sleep till about 7:30, 8 o'clock. So I get maybe 5-6 hours of sleep a day. And it's not continuous. It's just 3 hours here, 3 hours there, go to work.
Wow.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's something. When I talked with Jeff, Jeff Riggles, he said if you're looking for an inspiring bowling story, that you'd struggle to find one better than Jerry Marr's story. And I'm sure you'd rather just have an ordinary bowling story that doesn't include all this stuff. But in hindsight, what kind of impact do you think hearing a story like yours has or should have on other people?
I go by the motto, never give up. Chuck's always told people that the one thing that he admires about me is that I don't give up. I could be bowling bad in the block and I'm still going to learn. I'm still going to try. I might not sit there and go with the mindset of I could still do this and I could still get in the cut. But I'm still going to learn. I'm still going to watch what my ball does. I'm still going to learn, watch how the lanes play. I just, to me, my story, a lot of people will sit there and be like, oh, it's nothing out of the ordinary. But, I had open heart surgery 2.5 years ago. And the doctors told me 6 months I'd be back bowling. And I went to the doctor after about a month and a half, and he told me, I'm going to let you lift 12 pounds. 15 pounds max. He goes, but I don't want you doing anything, powerlifting wise or whatnot. So in my head, I heard 12 pounds. Hey, call up the ball reps and say, hey, I need a 12-pound bowling ball. And they sent it. My wife was against it. She was like, no, you need to take time off. I said, I can't just sit around this house. And, I went to work. I wasn't supposed to go to work until the end of January. I went back middle of December. And I thought to myself, if I can go back to work and do light duty and get all that stuff, I can, try to bowl. My biggest goal, there's a tournament in Freeport, Illinois in January. It's the first Sunday of every year. It's called the King Classic. And it's after Richie Buss. Richie Buss was a very talented bowler from the Rockford area. The whole family is talented bowlers. You've got Jesse Buss, you've got Jason Buss, the sons, and then you've got Aaron Buss, which is the nephew. I mean, there's Shane Buss there. I mean, there's all kinds of family out there, with the Buss family name. They're all great bowlers. And I became good friends with a lot of them because I bowled the King of Hills in Rockford on Saturday afternoons for years. And I got to know them, got to, be around them. I went and bowled nationals with a few of them, so, I mean, I respect the family a lot. And my goal was to go back to the King Classic and just bowl. I didn't care if I cashed. I didn't care if it was just going and donating. But that was my goal, to bowl that tournament. And I actually didn't start throwing 15-pound bowling balls until 2 days prior to that tournament. So when we got in the car, I told my wife, I said, it's 3 months after surgery, shouldn't be bowling, but I'm going to. And I said, and I don't care if I cash. I'm just going just to support the family. I've bowled every year that they've had the tournament. I haven't missed a year yet. And we got down to qualifying, wasn't paying attention to scores, and somebody came up to me and they're like, you qualified second. And I goes, excuse me? And they're like, you qualified second. And I said, I didn't bowl that good. And they're like, Jerry, you're 175 over. And I was like, whoa, like, seriously? So I bowled against my first match against my friend Jason Miller. And I had to loft the ball. You get your chest cut open, you have no strength to do that.
Sure.
And I somehow mustered up the strength to do it. And when we got done with that match, I think I had to throw a double in the 10th to beat him. I think it was like a 4-pin match, like 245, 243, something like that. And when I got into the finals, I bowled against a Ty Kalati, two-handed bowler from Rockford area. Very good kid, very good bowler. He struck a lot. And I looked at my wife and I said, I don't have strength to loft the ball anymore. I'm like, I seriously don't. And somebody just came up to me and said, just bowl the game, make your spares, see what happens.
Yep.
And I got lucky. Ty went up and he literally, I think he went like 9 spares strike the first 2 frames, and then he missed an 8-pin, missed a 4-6, or I'm sorry, not 4-6, 4-10. And then he struck. It just, things just worked my way. I picked up the 210 in the 9th, and when I looked at the score, I was like, he can max out at 171. If I strike here, I shoot 171. And I went and threw one shot, and I struck and let out a big yell. And there was people there that was like, what's with this guy? Why is he celebrating like that? And my wife basically turned around and looked at him and said, he had open heart surgery 3 months ago. And they all went, what? And she was like, yeah. She's like, he should not be bowling. And for him to win a tournament, this is huge. And Jeff Riggles messaged me, and he was like, this is unbelievable. He's like, I there's no words describing it. I was literally knocked down in a hospital for 16 days. And it was one of those things where it was just like surreal. It's just unbelievable. And then 2 weeks later, there was a tournament in Bloomington, Illinois. I wanted to go bowl it. We had an ice storm the night before, so I told my wife I'm going to drive down, before the ice storm hits. And unfortunately, I hit the ice storm on the way down. So a trip that should take like 2.5, 3 hours took me and my daughter 5 hours to get there.
Oh, wow.
And I go bowl this tournament. I qualified first. I bowled Jason Miller in the semifinals again, and I beat him again. And he was like, dude, I was like, and I ended up winning that tournament. So it was 2 tournaments back to back. And just Riggles messaged me again, and he was like, you don't know what this. And I was like, I I'm like at a loss for words right now. I didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do, and I came home. And first thing I did was broke down to my wife. I gave her the biggest hug I could, and I looked at her straight in the face and I said, I need to take a couple weeks off because I'm just exhausted. Um, but yeah, I mean, I literally have it tattooed on my arm. It says "Never give up," and then I get it from Jimmy V. His speech inspired me.
Yeah.
I do. I do what he says. Every day you got to laugh, you got to love, and you got to cry. I don't cry every day, but you always look back at things, and that's one of the things that I look back at. I'm lucky and fortunate to be able to still do it.
Sure. Yeah, Jimmy V, of course, the famed North Carolina State College coach who was suffering from cancer. As the story goes, they wanted him to do the ESPYs. He didn't think he could make it, and instead he made it out there. He gave that speech, owned the room, and now we have that great memory of him. I mean, I've always thought that translates well to all sports.
Yeah.
Not the never give up and laugh once a day and cry and be moved to tears.
Exactly. And I wouldn't have the opportunities I have right now, if it wasn't for the people in my life. My wife being one of them, she's like my biggest supporter. Her and my daughter, they support me in everything I do. If I was to tell my daughter and I had her on a weekend, hey, I want to go bowl, my daughter would be like, where are we going? She might not like it and she might get bored here once in a while, but she got to the age where I was like, you want to go bowl a tournament? Let's go. And she was like, yeah, let's go. So we would both go bowl a tournament. And that was like probably one of the best things, my first tournament that I bowled with her, I literally cried because years ago I should have passed away.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where it was like, this is awesome.
Was there a moment in time where, maybe, she had gone bowling with you before and all that, but was there a moment where you realized that she understood what it meant to you, what this sport meant to you?
So when I had my first heart attack, I don't even want to say when I had my first heart attack. It was before that. My first wife and I got divorced. And I was workhorse. I was always raised that you always work. You do what you can to support your family. And I did that. But I worked way too much. I didn't have time for family. I missed a lot of family obligations. I missed a lot of family functions. I missed my daughter's first birthday. So there was a point where I gave it up. And I was like, I'm done. I'll just be a weekend warrior, bowl the little local tournaments here and there. And that was that. And when my daughter was 9, she was like 9 or 10, we were watching old bowling videos from like USBC Nationals and stuff. And she looked at me and she goes, do you miss it? And I said, miss what? And she said, bowling. She's like, going out and bowling. And I said, well, yeah. I says, it's what I wanted to do. It's what I wanted for my life. And she looked me straight in the face and she said, I want you to bowl. And I said, you do realize that if you tell me to do this, I'm going to pursue it 100%. I'm not, I'm going to be gone on weekends here and there. There's going to be weekends where I'm going to have to, drop you off with your grandparents. And she said, yeah. And we talked to my ex-wife about it, which is her mother. And I went to it, and I committed to it fully. And to this day, I still do it, but I still find time for family. I have times where my wife will be like, let's go away for the weekend. I'll go. If it's a tournament that I don't think that I'm going to miss, she knows that there's some tournaments that I just can't miss. The 11 frame open, can't miss it. That's one of my favorite tournaments. The format is just unbelievable. It's one of the funnest formats. It's the most tiring format. Kentucky Open, that was another one that, she knew that these were the weekends that I was going to go bowl. But if there's like a little house tournament somewhere and she wanted to go somewhere, I'm more than willing to go. We went to the zoo this weekend, Saturday, and then I ran a tournament on Sunday. I could have went and bowled on Saturday, but I decided to go to the zoo with my wife. There's just some things before I didn't really think about as to where now I do.
Sure. You mentioned you ran a tournament. Tell me about, when you started, doing that and why.
back in, I want to say it was 2012 or 2013. It was right after my heart attack. There was a guy named Sean Selesky. He ran a King of the Hill in Dyer, Illinois. And Sean got a job opportunity. I think it was 2012. It was sometime around, a while ago. He moved to Valpo, and the King of the Hill that he used to run used to get like 100 entries every week in the summer. He'd started at 10 o'clock in the morning. Or 10 o'clock at night, sorry. And we wouldn't get done until 4 o'clock in the morning if you made it all the way to the finals. For us to go to Dyer from my area, it was about an hour and a half drive with traffic, going there. Coming back, it didn't take as much because there wasn't that much traffic, but we wouldn't get home until like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. The sun would be coming up. We'd be walking through the door from a bowling tournament. So when Sean moved it to Valpo, there was a lot of people in the Chicagoland area stating that they wanted something to bowl on Friday nights. I contacted Sean and I said, this is what I want to do. Are you okay with it? So it doesn't seem to be a problem. So I tried running King of the Hills here and there. Instead of doing it on Friday nights, I tried doing it on like Saturdays and Sundays. I got 16 entries, 12 entries, 14 entries. Somebody said, well, why don't you try doing it on a Friday night? So that's when Pete and I got in contact with each other, and we started talking. And I said, this is what I want to try and do. I want to do it every Friday night. And Pete was like, let's do it. Let's see what happens. The first year that I ran it, I think the most entries I got was like 40. Not bad. Word started getting out. I created the Illinois Bowling Tournaments page. The main reason why I created that was because I didn't know of tournaments that were going on in the area. I wanted to bowl. So I figured, why not create a page that people can promote their tournaments? I don't care where the tournament's at. I don't care if it's in Texas. I don't care if it's in Florida. You want to promote a tournament? Get on my page. Put it on there. I'll share it. So I created that page, and then all of a sudden it was, let's run King of the Hills Friday nights, summers from May until September. It kicked off. Sean was running his and getting 50, 60, 70 entries. I was running mine, getting 50, 60, 70 entries. I had, I do a doubles tournament in the summer. And at one point I was getting 128 bowlers, 64 teams. Wow. This year with COVID and last year was kind of tough because of having to space out, use every other pair. And, so Pete and I got creative and we said, well, why don't we use these pairs, have them bowling, do 2 squads, have the people come in and use every other pair. And the pairs that weren't used for the first squad, the people come in on the second squad and they'll use the pairs that weren't. So that way we don't have to worry about re-oiling, and it could be an easy transition to go through. And we did pretty good that year. And then everything started opening up. We were able to have 1 squad again. And, I run multiple tournaments. I mean, I do a Black Friday doubles the Friday after Thanksgiving, which that weekend of Thanksgiving is a very busy weekend for tournaments because Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, we go to Valpo for the doubles Baker tournament that Sean runs. We don't get home until 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning sometimes. You just sleep for like 2-3 hours, spend time with the family on Thanksgiving. And then Black Friday, I run my Black Friday doubles. The first time I ran it, I was like, hey, while the wives are out shopping at 6 o'clock in the morning, let's have the guys go out and bowl a tournament at 6 o'clock in the morning. And we ran it, and I think I got like 29 teams. And I was like, hey, it's not bad for the first year. But everybody's complaint was, bro, this is early. This is way too early for my likings. And I was like, all right, well, Brian Thompson, one of the top bowlers in Chicagoland area, he shot 300. I think it was like the first game. And I was like, Brian, I think you've just shot like the earliest 300 game anybody's ever shot. And, it became a joke. And then the following year I did it at 9 o'clock, got 32 teams. And now we just do it at 9, 10 o'clock. Just all depends on what goes on with the center and who they can get there. I just tried my hand at the Illinois mixed doubles. There used to be a tournament called Chicagoland mixed doubles. That hasn't run because of COVID. So there was a lot of people that were asking for it. Unfortunately, we only had 14 teams. But, first year for me doing it, there was a lot going on. There's a big tournament. Kevin Williams had a tournament down in Springfield, Missouri. So there was a couple of my bowlers that went down there and bowled at. There was I forgot where else there was a tournament Saturday. But like a lot of people in the Chicagoland area, they won't bowl Saturday and Sunday. There's quite a few that will. But to get like actual people to spend their whole weekend during the summer in a bowling center is, rare. I won't say impossible, but it's rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I run multiple tournaments. I run 8 gamers. I run 6 gamers. I go to all kinds of bowling centers all over the Chicagoland area.
Yeah. I would imagine with that many people entered into one of your events, you're going to run into the occasional jerk. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
We are jerks, and I'm not saying you and I'm saying bowlers can be jerks.
Yeah.
How do you, as a tournament director, kind of plow through that and kind of give it the la 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 and concentrate on the love of what you do and not on the noise, on the haters?
My wife is actually sitting right next to me, and I don't know if she's listening in. She tells me all the time that I need to be less aggressive, or less abrasive. Sorry, less abrasive. I don't really have that many people that have bad experiences.
Mm-hmm.
If I mess up, I fix it right away. I've had one mistake where I ran a doubles tournament. It was one of my Black Fridays doubles tournaments, and a team got into the team brackets, the doubles brackets, and I don't know what happened, but I forgot to put them in, and they basically ran everybody over, and they would have won a lot of money. And the only thing that I could have done was offered them their money back. Me being a tournament director, as you run brackets, once you post them, you can't really, if it was the first game and it would have been caught, I could have redone them. I could have said to people, hey, this happened, but it was all the way into the last game of qualifying.
Yeah.
I can't say, hey guys, I got to redo the brackets and shuffle these. It was a mistake on my part. I tried to fix it. Unfortunately, they don't bowl my events anymore. That's their choice. And I've tried getting them to come. I've offered them free entries into other events to get them to come back. But I don't really have many people that get upset at something. If they do, I try to correct it. I try to, if it's my mistake, I'll fix it, however I can. I've offered people their entry back. I've offered them free entries in other tournaments. Normally, it makes them happy. Some people, they're just like, okay, whatever, and, walk away. But I do have a good following, and I do have a lot of people that, enjoy bowling my events, and I enjoy running them. It's the best thing that I can do. I run my King of the Hills on Friday nights, and Gary Sula runs a 5-gamer on Friday nights down in Joliet. And when that first started happening, I got upset because it was like, how can you take away bowlers away from me? Sure. And Gary and I had a talk after a post that I had made because I was upset, and him and I have had talks about it, and we both came to an agreement. Who cares who's running the tournament? As long as people are out bowling and enjoying themselves. Gary, he caters to the handicap bowler because his tournaments are handicaps. Mine are scratch. I'm not one to run a handicap tournament just because I don't want to say I don't want to take the time to go look up averages and stuff like that. I don't have the time. I work anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day. I come home. I try to spend time with my wife. I see her 3-4 hours maybe during the day, and that's when she gets off work. She works from home, but I can't bug her. I can't, just be all around her and showing her the love and affection that I like to give her. Mm-hmm. But I don't have the time to go looking for handicaps and averages. Now I'm going to try it. I made a post the other day saying, I was doing it as a smart ass.
I wasn't sure if you were serious about that or not. I was going to ask you that.
I was actually joking because a friend of mine, Jennifer Maurerman, she runs a lot of tournaments like the Illinois Masters, Illinois Queens. She runs a lot of Baker tournaments. Her and I were talking, and she was just like, unfortunately, that's what people want is handicap tournaments and on house shots and stuff like that. So I made the post, and the messages I got was like all these people messaging me like, dude, are you serious? I'm coming. I'll be there. So it's like, okay, well, maybe that's something that I need to do. This weekend, I had the mixed doubles tournament. I didn't make money. I don't make a lot of money off the tournaments. I don't need to make money off the tournament. I do it for the bowlers. Yeah. I actually put $200 from my pocket into the prize fund just so I could pay out what I paid. I ran the game pots. I took in $170. I paid out $240. I took in, let's say $2,400 for prize fund. I paid out $2,500. I don't do it to make money. I do it to make the bowlers happy. I do it to, show people that, hey, there's stuff to bowl. Let's go out and bowl. Let's go out and have a good time. I get to see friends. I get to hang out with people. My wife, when we first started dating, she didn't understand it. And now that she sees like all the people, she sees the camaraderie, she sees how we all, hang out, talk. And, there's sometimes where she's just like, oh my God, I can't believe, this person said this or whatnot. We all joke around. We all make, the dirty comments. We make the jokes, and it's just who we are. Mm-hmm. And I run it just because of that. I don't have much time to go out and go. I don't go to bars. I don't go to casinos. I'll go to a casino, if I'm out in Vegas, if my wife and I are sitting here and we have nothing to do, I'll be like, hey, let's go to the casino, but I'm not a bar person. I don't drink. I think I've only been drunk twice in my life. And, it's just not something that appeals to me. I'd rather be that person that, gets friends home, gets them safe versus being the person to have other people look after.
Sure.
So my tournaments are basically just, chance for everybody to come out, enjoy themselves, hang out, win some money, whatever, just come out and have fun.
Yeah. Sean did mention, the full sweeper series in the summer at Poplar Creek in Hoffman Estates. And he said that you run several other tournaments, and then organize a spreadsheet of tournaments throughout the region. I'm assuming this may appear on that site that you were talking about.
Yeah, okay. It's open to anybody. Like I said, I don't care if you're running a tournament in Florida. I don't care if you're running one in California. Let me know. I have a schedule. I post it here and there. That's another thing that Jennifer Mauerman helps me with. She sees tournaments, she adds it. If I see tournaments, I'll add to it. We want bowling to get out there. That's the biggest main concern for that spreadsheet. It started because as a tournament director, I did it because I would schedule a tournament and then somebody else would schedule something that same day and they'd be like, well, I didn't know. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, now here's your chance to know, and this schedule has saved a lot of people from overbooking. It's, you get one center that's in this town and the very next town over, somebody wants to run something else. They're going to look at that schedule and they're going to be like, hey, can't run it that day because bowling center A's got something over there. We don't want to take bowlers away from there. Sure. Plus it helps, get it out there as to where it's at. The spreadsheet, I have tournaments from Kentucky. I have Iowa, Missouri, Kansas. I have some from Texas. Omar Arnett, who runs the NDO, No Days Off tournaments down in Texas. He's sent me his schedule. Greater Iowa Bowling Association sent me theirs. I've added the Madison Area Scratch Tours tournaments. I'll add theirs on there. I want people to have a place that they can go and go, hey, there's a tournament this weekend. Let's go bowl. Mm-hmm. That was the main purpose for the schedule. It was that people had something to look at and go, hey, there's something to bowl in this town or that town. And it's helped out a lot. And yeah. I don't charge anybody anything for it. I don't, say, hey, I'll put your tournament on my schedule. Give me a free entry. No, that's not what I'm about. I'm about promoting bowling. I want bowling to get out there. I want people to see what bowling is about. Most of my friends that I have are bowling. I've got people that I consider family in Jersey. My buddy Joel, I go to nationals with him now. It's the once a year that me and him get to spend a week together and talk and reminisce and go over the year. And, he came out here right before COVID hit. And when he left 2 weeks later, we shut down everything. I want to go out to Jersey. I want to see my Jersey family. I've got a Jersey mom, Michelle. I mean, she messages me every day. She used to message me every day, ask me how I was doing. And, it's people like that bowling has brought me to that. That's why I do what I do. I enjoy the people that I'm associated with. I enjoy, talking to people. I enjoy being around people. I just don't see life without it, Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, and Sean said the same thing. Helps tournament directors set dates with the least amount of conflict, allows those looking to bowl a tournament any given weekend the opportunity to do so. He called it a phenomenal resource. So obviously, what you're doing and the goals you had for it are being met in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take much for us to do. Jennifer, she sees stuff on there. I gave her access to it. When I first started putting it out there, I was having problems updating it because at the time I was working 12-hour days, 6 days a week. so it wasn't getting updated as much. And Jennifer was like, let me help you. I was like, all right, So I opened it up to her, and we both add stuff. It's here or there. I'll see something. I'll message her. Hey, did you add this? Yeah, I already added it. Okay. There's a lot of times she's already caught it and already put it on there because I sleep. I try to sleep during the day, and I'm not on my computer 24/7, and she's on her computer a lot more. So it's easier for her to do, and she helps me out a lot with it.
Sure. Recently, you were in Wauwatosa for the Petersen Classic, and this year you shot 16:05 for 8 games, which, let's face it, if we're a casual bowling person, doesn't sound like a lot unless you know what the Petersen is really about. You posted one of the few LOL Facebook posts that actually made me LOL. You said the highlight of the night so far was that Liz Johnson threw a strike and says to me, "Suck it." Is this an inside joke?
No. Well, we were bowling and we were on 15 and 16 and nobody was really striking. And we were kind of giving everybody a hard time about it. And she went up there and threw one of the best shots of the night. And she come walking back and she kind of just like nonchalant. She looked at me and she goes, "Suck it." And I was just like, whoa. I was like, are you serious? And Liz is somebody who I've become really good friends with lately. When I had my heart attack, she was another person that, hey, how you doing? Things good? Yep, everything's great. I'm getting better, back out on the lanes. There's a lot of people who I never thought in my life would be that type of person. Sean Rash, that guy, first person, if I win a tournament, regional, whatever, and it's a big event, very first person, my phone will ring. It's him. I have a lot of people in the bowling community. The one thing that really caught me off guard was when I had my heart attack, I went to nationals in May, and I was walking through the casino at South Point, and Anthony Simonson came running up to me, and he was like, "Dude, it's like, what happened?" And I was like, "Had a heart attack." It's just like, and he was really genuinely concerned. For somebody to come running after you in a casino that I don't consider myself a big name. I don't consider myself a superstar. I'm just me. And for him to come up to me, that showed me a lot of respect for him. To this day, I go to tournaments. Like when I was at the Masters, he came up, talked to me, asked me how things were doing. There's a lot of people who have done that. People see, how they act on TV, and they talk about them, and it's like, you guys don't know them. No. But Liz, that comment with Liz, man, that threw me off because it was like, it's just like kind of one of those things where it was just like, so, but she struggled a little bit. And I think at that point we were all struggling because the racks were just horrible on that pair, and you'd hit the pocket. And I think at one point I hit the pocket and I left a 4-6, and I was like, welcome to the Petersen. But yeah, I mean, that was, at that time we were all struggling, and I think she was the first to strike on the pair, and she just looked at me and she was like, "Suck it." And I was like, "Oh." So it was a good time. It was a very fun time.
I bet. Yeah. You mentioned to me before the show that now your daughter is off to college and getting ready to compete in a college program. Tell me about that and how proud you are as a dad.
Man, I'm over the moon excited for my daughter. How it started was she's always said she's wanted to go to school in South Carolina, North Carolina. And she was out in South Carolina for a school visit, and she followed Belmont Abbey on Instagram, and she liked one of their posts, and the coach, Rich Gukwa, he messaged her on Instagram and was like, "Hey, I see you're a bowler. Would you be interested in coming seeing the school? We're school in Charlotte, just outside of Charlotte." And she said, "Yeah." And so her and her mom went down there. Her grandparents actually bought a house in South Carolina, so that's where they were staying at. So they drove to Belmont Abbey, which is like an hour and a half away, and they went and saw the school. And my daughter called me up as soon as she was done, and she's like, "Dad," she's like, I really want to go here." And I was like, all right, I says, wherever you want to go to college, that's what you're going to do. I said, but I want you to put yourself forward. I want you to give your 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did a video conference call with Rich. It was me, my wife, my daughter's mother, my daughter, and Rich, and my ex-wife's significant other. We were all on the call, and he made us feel like she was wanted on the team, and they offered her a scholarship, and it wasn't like a big scholarship. It was, this is what we can offer you, and my daughter was like, I want to go. So I said, he said, just don't make a decision right now. Just, take your time, think about it and everything. And we hung up the phone with him, and she's like, you guys don't understand. She's like, they made me feel like I wanted, that I was needed. I was wanted there. So we offered up to fly out there, or actually go out there. I want to say it was in March, and Rich set up with the team to have one of the girls and one of the guys from the team come out and show us around, basically do a campus tour. My ex, my daughter, and her significant other, Courtney, they I'd already seen it. And when we got there, pretty much the whole team showed up. There was a couple that were missing, but they were in class, so it was understandable. And they made us feel like, this is what you don't understand. They wanted her, and they made her feel very comfortable, and it was reassuring. And so she signed up, and she's started her first year, and she's enjoying it. She's had a couple, I don't want to say setbacks. She's had a couple of moments where she's unsure because of something new. She's on her own, and she's there, but she's adapted. I talk to her every day. She sends me Snapchats, text messages. I'll call her once in a while here. But she'll call us, let us know that everything's good, and she's having a good time.
That's great.
And I just found out today, right before we got on the call, she had told me she got 100% on one of her essays that she got, and she was super excited about it. I was like, that's great. It's stuff like that just makes me feel good about it. So
yeah, that is awesome. Do you see yourself maybe going down to see her compete at some point?
Oh yes. Her first tournament is October 16th, 17th, and 18th as of right now, and it's in Indianapolis. I do plan on going. It's only like 3.5 hour drive away from the house. So I will plan on going. Any chance that I'm going to be able to go see her, we're going to go. She knows I won't be able to be at every event. But if I can, my work schedule right now, because I work 6 days a week, it's hard for me to get time off on the weekends because I work Friday night into Saturday. So my only nights off is Saturday. But I will do everything in my power to see if I can get there. And if I have to drive somewhere overnight, I'll do it. But it's right now, her first tournament's in Indianapolis. I'll be there. I wouldn't miss that for the world.
That's awesome. So tell me about the future. What, where do you see your future in bowling? I mean, you're, like you said, regional staffer, regional PBA champion. You run these tournaments. You're competitive in others across the area. Where do you go from here?
I'm going to continue doing exactly what I'm doing. I love bowling. There's no life without it for me. It's something that I'll probably do until the day I die. I still plan on bowling tournaments. I've got this weekend, we're going to Waterloo, Iowa. Next weekend, there's the 2 regionals in Madison. As of right now, I know I'm bowling Boulevard for sure. 10 pin is up in the air because of commitments and stuff like that. But, I just see myself doing the same thing I'm doing now. I'm going to run my King of the Hills in the summer. I'm going to run my, few tournaments here and there for everybody. I'm going to continue to promote bowling. I'm going to continue to do what I can for the sport and just be that guy that, that try to tell people, hey, your kid wants to go to college. Bowling's the easiest sport to get a scholarship at. There's tournaments all over the place that you can get, that your kids can bowl and enjoy. And, they can go to opportunities to win chances at junior gold, to win money there for scholarships. There's just all kinds of tournaments now that offer it. Why not do it? It's not a sport to where, hey, these 5 kids are the best, they're going to play, and everybody else is going to sit the bench. This is a sport where everybody gets to bowl. Everybody gets to go out and have a good time and enjoy themselves, and you have so many opportunities to get better. And that's just one thing that I love about the sport is it's always something different, man. You could put the same pattern out in the same bowling center, and you could put it out Monday through Friday, and that pattern could play 5 different ways. You just got to figure it out, and that's what I tell people. You like challenge? This is the sport, man. This is definitely a challenging sport, mentally, physically. It's just it's my life. It's what I do.
Yeah, it's always something different. All right, what's going on there?
That's my brother Joel right there, my big broccoli bro. So his girlfriend at the time, the previous year, they did a picture like that, but she was laying on the lane and she was kind of doing like this. She was doing like a heart thing, or she was putting her hands like this on her chins and everything. And so when she didn't go to nationals that year, I said to Joel, I said, hey, let's recreate that picture. And he goes, all right. So when he did it, he got on there and he was like, oh. So when I laid down on the lane while he was bowling in his picture, I'm sitting there like this, creating a heart. And it was just one of those moments where we were dying laughing. We had everybody roaring. You get us in a room together and you want to talk about fun, man. That guy is. I've had some low days, and I've called him up, and he just knows exactly what to say. He knows exactly what to do to get my spirits up. And fortunately, everybody in Jersey, like the people that I'm friends with, they're all the same way. If you have a bad day, you call them up, talk to them. I send them Snapchats and be like, hey, how are you guys doing? And they'll send things back. I got invited to my friend Amanda's wedding, and unfortunately we couldn't make it. But we talked to her. My wife and I were driving to Nebraska to go pick up my grandmother, and we were talking to her on the phone. It's just Joel, that guy. When I first met him in Jersey, I think it was 2013 when I met him. It was me, him, Kevin Coleman, my girlfriend at the time. We saw him in the pro shop. He was running a pro shop out of Carolier Lanes, and he had people literally. It was the Masters at the Carolier, and he had people literally walking by the pro shop, putting their hands on the windows, and he was just like, "Look at this guy! Why are you dirtying my windows, man?" And we connected instantly, and it was one of those type friendships to where we were there for a week. We didn't leave each other's side. We went everywhere together. We did everything together, and when I left, I felt like I was leaving family. And it wasn't just Joel, it was everybody. It was Susie, it was Michelle, it was Amanda, Bemis, it was all these people that, they made you feel welcome, and we went back the following year and it was like a family reunion. We went out to lunch, or we went out to dinner at on the border, and I want to say it was like 15 of us sitting at the table. And Joel looked at the waiter that walked by and he goes, hey, man, can you take a picture of me and my family? And the guy looks at him and goes, are you effing kidding me? And Joel was like, what? And we all just like stepped back, and he was like, man, all I wanted to do was a picture. And the guy's like, yeah, I got you, no problem. And he took our picture. And, it's a picture that's like, I don't know. Those people out there are just, they're family, man. They're people that I love talking to. I love being around. I haven't seen them in years, and I keep saying that I want to go out there, and one of these days I'm going to go out there and surprise them all and just show up and be like, hey, I'm at Carolier. Where are you guys at? But Joel, he's a comedian just like me. I mean, he's literally a twin. The guy he's going through some stuff. He had pancreas surgery, he had his pancreas removed, and they didn't know what was going on with it. And I stayed in contact with that man for days, constantly just calling him. And the year we got to meet in Vegas was like, it was at the check-in counter, and my wife was with me. And all of a sudden I hear, big broccoli bro. And my wife looks at me and she goes, what was that? And I go, that was Joel. And I turned around and he was all the way by the buffet, by the elevators. And I was at registration and I heard him. And I was like, oh, this is going to be a fun week. And I looked at my wife and I said, prepare for it to be loud, because it's going to get loud. So everyone this is like a bromance, man. She's like, this is just weird. And I was like, no, this is my buddy. This is my brother, man. This is guy that I love that man with all my heart because he's just always been there for me.
Yeah.
So
Hey, and it's a great picture. Let's face it.
the one that I've got, I don't know where it's at. It was up on the, it's upstairs, I think. Is the one where I'm on the lane and I've got the heart and he's bowling. So yeah, it's I like to have fun. I like to joke around, and he's one that when we were in Vegas this year, it was nonstop laughs, nonstop fun, and when he left, I literally broke down in tears because he's just so fun to be around.
Yeah, got to have a few of those in this life, you know.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So you've seen this show before. You know how we go off the sheet, and we ask you to challenge somebody else to appear on the show. Bowling skill level kind of irrelevant. We're looking for people who have a passion for the sport, a great story to tell. So, Jerry Mars, who would you like to challenge to be on a future episode of Bowling with the Feff?
There's actually I should say three people in total. One's a group, a duo. The first one I would have to say is Kyle and Brad. Brad Miller, Kyle Sherman. Those guys have done something amazing on YouTube with their vlog. They're the first ones to come out with something showing what bowlers go through, what emotional stuff we go through. You know, you have your highs, you have your lows in bowling, and they showcased it. And I always tell people, I've had people at work tell me, what's a typical weekend like for you when you go bowling? Watch these vlogs. You want to know what it's like on tour. You want to know what it's like for us to go to these little tournaments. Watch Brad and Kyle's, vlogs. They do an amazing job. Darren Tang's another one that does a great job. But Kyle and Brad, they're the first ones to do it, the first ones to put it out there. And so it would be cool to have you talk to them and see that. The second one, kid that I mentioned earlier, Bryce Cadahan. The kid's phenomenal. His little videos that he does. He does some things where he posts shots of bowling balls, and he gets some weird pin carry, and he'll post a video of it. But he's just what he's done for the PBA this summer. The kid had to have the time of his life, and for him to be able to sit down and talk with somebody about it, I think that would be really cool.
Okay. Well, Bryce, Brad, Kyle, if you're watching, please, and you're interested in getting on the show, we'd love to have you. You can email me at bowlingwiththefeff@yahoo.com or direct message me on Facebook, and we will set that up. Jerry, if somebody wants to get to know more about the tournaments you run or see that page, where do they go?
They go to Illinois Bowling Tournaments on Facebook. Okay. It's open to anybody, just like the page. You can send me a message on Facebook. My wife always tells me, you got 4,000 people friends with on Facebook. How many are you truly friends with? And it's like, I want to say, everybody, but there's some people on there that I don't know. And it's basically advertising as to why I accept everybody, because, I'm staffed with Brunswick, Vice, Genesis, Coolwick. So it's basically an advertising tool for me. It's basically what I used Facebook when I was managing a bowling center. I use it as an advertising tool. It's free.
Yeah.
I tell people, hey, want a free game of bowling? Mention this post and come to my center and bowl. I'll give you a free game of bowling. And it brought a lot of people in. So
sure.
Facebook is basically where you can look for it. Like I said, it's Illinois Bowling Tournaments. You can also look on my page. A lot of stuff that I share bowling-wise, tournament-wise is all public. A lot of my stuff is actually public because I don't really hide much. And that's probably a downfall of mine. But
yeah, but as long as the bowling content is coming, please keep doing it.
I'll still post videos of me bowling and friends bowling. So it's me and my buddy Joe Lickner are bowling on a league on Monday nights now. So I'm sure there's going to be some posts coming up with that. It's just a matter of trying to figure it out.
There you go. Jerry Mars, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Our next live stream coming up Monday, September 20th, 6 p.m. Central. You might know our guest. Her name is Dasha Kovalova.
Yep.
She has had a televised 300. She's won twice on the PWBA tour this year alone. And she does some incredible artwork.
Yes, she does. I don't know her personally. I've never met her. But the things that I've heard about her, she's very talented, very, very nice, down to earth. And she likes to have fun, just like, a lot of us bowlers do. So I'm looking forward to watching it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it again Monday, September 20th, 6 p.m. Central. From there, that's pretty much what we've got. Until next week, be just and fear not. We hope to see you on Monday.